My name is Kimberly Vance-Lundsbye. I live in 100 Mile House, BC, and we're the South Cariboo chapter. I have been with CPF since my oldest son was in kindergarten, so that's 6 years, and I've been the president of our chapter for, I think this is my 4th year. I never know which year I'm in. We have a really strong membership for such a small town. We have a lot of members. Sorry, I wish I knew my number offhand, but we try to get most of our families to be members. That's sort of our goal. We also have some community members, people whose families were in the program and they continue to do membership for us, and our teachers and retired teachers. So we have a strong membership. We have a long-standing exec with a couple new people here and there. The culture in our CPF chapter is that people who join and get a role, they tend to stay till their youngest child leaves grade 7. And then we like to keep on, right now we have 2, we like to keep on at least one person who was very active in elementary school as sort of a high school rep. So now they can talk about the high school issues like attrition and things like that. So that's how we've operated. I wish we had Nancy's policy. I might try to work on that. It's scary for me. Yeah, so anyway, I'll get into it. I'm really honored to have been asked to present for national and for this group as a chapter that is doing a lot of advocacy work for French immersion in our area. I think that we have a lot in common with other rural communities in that I grew up in White Rock, BC, so a suburb of Vancouver. Everybody knows White Rock. And in White Rock, I did French immersion, late French immersion there. And French immersion was really valued and hard to get into. I remember interviewing for grade 6 with my parents to see if I was worthy enough to be admitted. That's how they did that in 1995 or whatever that was, which is kind of crazy, right? I had to show samples of my work and everything from my elementary school from grade 5. So things are different now. In 100 Mile House, we're one of the only chapters, I think, that we do not have to have a waiting list or a lottery or any kind of rules around registering for K. That I actually have to go around and pound the pavement and convince parents to sign their kids up for French, which is really, really strange for me with where I grew up. So anywho, it's always this ongoing fight. And I know that some of the issues are the same for the whole province and, lack of teachers. And we all have this issue. This is a national issue that we're always struggling with some of these common issues. So one thing that I've tried to do, and this is the first video I'll share, my new video. Something I've tried to do is I'm trying to have a more of a community profile of French immersion rather than just for those families who are in the program. What inspired me was Vernon, with Vernon's big winter carnival. I thought, wouldn't it be nice if the whole community could celebrate our French immersion program and the fact that we have that here, so that more people value it outside of just the core parents in the group, right? So, because it's not that many families really that are actually a part of the program. So a couple years ago, I applied for a BC Family Day grant. It's $1,000. You have to be a municipality, or so you have to be a town. I think there might be one more rule. So a nonprofit cannot apply. So how I get the money is I have a good relationship with our Parks and Rec department. I basically convinced them the first year, because they weren't applying for it, let me apply for it under the town. I will do all the reporting for it and all the organizing with our CrossCountry Ski Club. And they agreed to that. So it's something that we've been doing every year now. This would be our 4th year if it comes up this year. So it's $1,000 to do free family events on the Family Day stat. and you have that whole weekend to do it. So now this has become and grown into our community carnival, which happens to be during our French week. So it's perfect. We do French week at the school, and then we have this carnival in the community on the Stad, which people are coming to from the whole region, from all the different schools in the area. So it's really high profile. And every year I make it a little bit more French. And something fun that we do is my husband, who's a pretty good skier, I make him wear the bonhomme costume and ski in it. So, and as you know, if you wore the bonhomme costume, you are blind in that. And he is blind. You know, most people have a walker, somebody walks along with bonhomme because bonhomme can't see. No one does that with him. So you're going to see the video of, I think that this footage is from, part of it's from last year and part of it's from the year before, but I kind of put it together and it's just a short video. I think I know how to put sound on now, so we're going to see. If anybody doesn't see sound, let me know right away. So share sound. And I need to share my screen. Sorry, I'm not the fastest with this. Okay. So
that's awesome.
Did the sound go through?
Yes, and that's awesome.
Oh, I'm glad that you liked it.
That's absolutely amazing. Will you share it?
Well, oh, I'll share it. Sure, I can send it. I wonder where the best place to send it. I can try to put it in this chat box later. Or I can send it through CPF and they can send it out. So
I need it for sure. I need it for sure. I already know that I need to engage Jessica from North Vancouver because they have mountain. And we need somebody from West Vancouver because we have cross-country ski only in West Vancouver. And
Yeah, we
will
could
go
do
out
it.
there.
You know what's so great about using the CrossCountry Ski Club is that our volunteer hours go up by hundreds for these events. So the only funding we get for it is that money. That's the only money. And then we have about, I don't know, 250 to 350 people come through on those family days. And it's mostly families. That's mostly who it is. Moms and dads and kids, or grandparents and kids. And so the picture of Bonhomme and the mascots there changing the baby's diaper. So with the Birkenbeaner. So we have like a stadium in front of our lodge. So everybody, we have a schedule. You know, people come and ski for free, they snowshoe for free. We've got activities going around and whatever. We have French music. We put out a speaker system outside and have music going. But we have that race happen right at the kind of prime time of the day, and everybody lines up along the fence to watch it and cheers, and we play music, and it's hilarious because it doesn't matter who wins. The mascots are falling, they can't see, and it's just, those are all volunteers, and most of them are from Nordics. And so if you have a really active cross-country ski club who's interested in a partnership like that, at our ski club, a lot of our volunteers are retired, and a lot of them are retired teachers. So they are really willing to partner like this, and they have their own mandates to do events, right? So they're happy to have someone else help organize. So anyway, it's a great partnership. It's working wonderful. I hope it goes on forever. So that's sort of what I'm working on as far as advocacy, from a point of view of trying to bring French immersion from just being this cohort of parents, which, I mean, there's a stigma in our community, and I think other communities have this too, that these families that are really involved in French immersion and passionate about it are snobs. They are exclusive in some way. So doing this event that is really pushed on this stat holiday and free, it's a way to celebrate French with a way broader community. And we get a ton of coverage in our local newspaper. They put in a spread, I think, last year of pictures, because it's so nice to take pictures of, just like Jensen was saying, right? So the next thing that I'm going to share is just, I'm going to quickly go through the PowerPoint I did for National, because that talks a lot about other things that we've done since I've been involved as president. So I'm going to do this again, and now I know that I can. So I'm going to share my screen again. Oh, I better make sure I've got sound. You are sharing sound, perfect. Okay, and sorry, I don't do a lot of PowerPoints anymore, like when I was in university. Where do I play it?
You do really well. I don't remember when I did my presentation last time.
Yeah, I have to look and see where I
Slideshow. I think if you go to slideshow, yeah, then you can do view show.
Oh, you know what? I can't see it because of the chat box for
oh yeah,
for
yep.
Zoom. Okay, from the beginning. There we go. People can probably see that now, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right. So fighting for French in rural BC. So where is 100 Mile House? Most people know where that is, but that's where that green heart is there. You can see in the middle of the province that we're sort of really lower central BC. We're about 2.5 hours from Kamloops, just for reference. That's the next biggest center, 5 hours from Vancouver. So a big issue, the biggest issue we have is teachers. If we already have right now currently 3 non-certified French teachers teaching in our school. They are wonderful and we love them and they are fabulous. But what scares me is that the school district will say that our program can't function, you know, with too many non-certified teachers. So teacher recruitment is a major issue. So something we've talked at length about with our chapter is what is going well. What do we have in our favor and what are we really lacking for recruiting new people? Because we have taken some some liberties, I would say, in promoting our community to new teachers, because we feel that the district is obviously not able to get them. So we might as well be proactive rather than just complaining constantly about, why not? So what's good is that 100 Mile House is still affordable, outdoor lifestyle for sure, small town living. Not so good is that we do not have amenities like pools, and we do not have big box stores. And I mean, you have to find the right person. For some people, that's a plus, right? The big red tape problem for doing promotion for teachers is that school districts say they want to collaborate with us, but we're not, at the same time, we're told that it's not our job. But then at the same time, I don't necessarily accept that. So where do we go from here? So I've got another video here to watch, and this one is one that we put out a couple of years ago, and I sponsored. So this is a good example of a sponsored post that had many, many, many views. I don't know, 20,000 views, many, for just the small amount of money we spent. So work with what you got. So this is a video I put together. It was free to put together, and we got a lot of traction from it.
Are you ready?
Oops, I'm sorry.
Teacher?
Sorry, that's super low res in that way, but and also it was on a way older phone when I did that. But where I'm going with that now is that I think I had spent $50 or something in sponsoring posts, and we had around 20,000 views for that money. And I'm sorry, that's really good value for your money, I think, for advertising. And I did do what Jensen was talking about, where you can target your audience. And I targeted cities with French immersion universities. And I was able to track from comments and shares. And I don't even know offhand now how many shares we had. We had many. That it did reach many French immersion university students and new teachers, many across the whole country. And I had people inquire about our community from that post. It didn't result in a teacher directly from the post, but what it taught me, and it was more of an experiment really at the time, is it taught me that it was really good value for money. And I had hoped that the district would want to do that on their own and spend money on it and do a great job and really boost posts, but that's not their bag. So we're going to do it again. And this time I have a friend who's a videographer in our community who I'm going to work with to do a really professional job, and we're going to spend a lot more money. So last spring I would have done that if it had been a pandemic, and we'll see if I have the capacity to do it this year. Or maybe might be good. Maybe I could throw in there that it's good to live in a small town during a pandemic. I don't know. I might throw that in the video. So I'm going to share my screen again and just whip through this PowerPoint here. So, oh, I'm on this one, sorry. So, what did I do before that video? Well, we did lots. So we did a ski scarf project. If people can see me talking, you can see that I'm holding it up. But it was an idea from one of our newer teachers at the time that when she was at a recruitment fair, that a school district gave out toques and actually managed to recruit quite a few teachers. They seemed like the cool people at the recruitment fair. So we did these ski buffs and we gave them away, and we sold them for $10, which covered the cost to pay for it, plus give one away. I attended a recruitment fair. So I don't know if they'd let me go again, but they let me go once. And I went to Edmonton, and our CPF chapter paid for my flight, and I had somewhere to stay there. So I went there for 2 days and I worked it with them. And I did that because it kept coming up at meetings, you know, how is our district promoting themselves at these fairs? What do the fairs even look like? And what I will tell you about the recruitment fair is that, in my opinion, from being there, some districts are awesome and they are promoting themselves so well. And the people that I went with were hustling, and I was super proud of that. But some districts are definitely sitting behind a desk with almost nothing on it on their phones for 2 days. And I want everyone here to know that, because I think it's important that we know that. I also think recruitment fairs seem kind of old-fashioned. There were a lot of students who went through them, but I just don't know if that's how young students are picking where they're going to move now. It was a lot of older staff that were there that were promoting it, and I don't know, it just didn't seem to be the way that I would go for a job, and these kids didn't look that interested. So, and I also know they're super expensive, but you can see I want social media and they don't want that. So that's my stance. And I actually had another friend who works in the field of social media advertising, to do a promotional video for free for the school district to use, and they rejected it, and they told us that we weren't allowed to use it. So next steps. So you're saying there's a chance. This is just me saying that I don't necessarily take no for an answer. I just look for ways around things, and that's sort of what I do for my job too. I work for a nonprofit. So I'm a person who's willing to kind of look for another way to do things, and I don't want to break the rules. I'm not going to put out a video that the school district tells me I can't put out because it has their logo in it, but I will definitely make my own video and put it on our own Canadian Parents for French page, because I can do that. And I don't think there's any rules against that. I'm just promoting my community, which is part of my job as president of our chapter. So that's what we're still working on. So I guess I'm a big advocate for it. We haven't had a ton of success, in my opinion. It's kind of frustrating. I've done a lot of work without a lot of fruit, but I still think that I'm on the right track. And I am hopeful that for the future that we will do things. You know, one thing, I don't know if anybody picked up on it, but in my first little video, there was a picture of some university students home for reading break that we're now giving honorariums to come and volunteer for our primary carnival outside. This has been the best thing we ever did, on 2 reasons. One, volunteer burnout from parents. It's so hard to get parents to want to stand outside in -10 for 5 hours. And there's been so many years where it's just me and a couple of our exec who already do all the work that are doing it. And so paying these kids $100 to do it and speak French with the kids, they're home anyway for the reading break from SFU and UBC and wherever. They get money, which they need and they want. They are practicing using their French, but they're also visiting their school that they went to when they were in elementary school. And we treat them like gold. We roll out the red carpet for those kids because they're in university. Most of them are taking French courses or in a program that could be a teaching program or could go there. And I spend the whole day telling them how much it would be so great if they came back and taught at their elementary school. And their parents love it too, because their parents want them to move back here and also teach at their elementary school. So we're all in cahoots, and it's the best. I think I look at that as promotional money too, that we do that. So that's pretty much me. Sorry, I couldn't see any questions that came in while I was talking, but I'll look at them after. Or if anybody wants to ask me now.
I just saw the comment from Chris about putting a link to our page about districts needing FI teachers. Jensen, I wonder if we should add the future
Make a
folks.
future.
Thank you. Yes, exactly, as well.
That's a great idea, Chris.
Yeah, thank you. Any more questions for Kimberly?
I don't have a question, but I have kind of blurry suggestion. When it was the concours dortoir last year, it was last time when you had the in person, and I meet the same guy who is one of judges in Burnaby, and he works at SFU in French language department. So I can try to contact him to publish your advertising, because I'm pretty sure he has lots of students, and if they're in French language department, so some portion of them is going to be French teachers. So I think it would be good relationship.
That would be very helpful, because something else I learned about recruitment fairs is that school districts have to apply to attend, and that there isn't space at every fair for every district. At least that's what we were told by our district, that they aren't able to go to the SFU fair because they apply and aren't chosen because it's a national thing and they have so many spots. Honestly, I know my district would not like me talking like this about recruitment fairs, but I feel passionate to tell people who are involved with CPF, ask for photos of your school district's setup at the recruitment fairs, because some of them are great. Some of them would shock you. And I think that they are very expensive because they send 2 staff to a different city. They put them up in hotels, per diems, and whatever else. And I'm sorry, there were a dozen.
No result.
A dozen who were sitting behind a table on a phone like this with brochures on a table for 8 hours. So,
yeah,
yeah,
completely understand.
And I also, the style of them feels 25 years too late. I don't know. I think it's pre-internet advertising, and I think there's maybe a place for them, but there's got to be a place for social media too.
Yeah.
So
in Burnaby situation is a little bit different, just because I'm involved in elementary school and the high school, because my children already grew up. And last PAC meeting, the principal of the high school mentioned that Burnaby doesn't have lack of French teachers, but of course we're centrally located, and it's more, I would say, fashionable to live here, and even if you cannot afford any housing here comparing to your area. But I can say that lots of I would still call them students, because they just graduated from universities and they're already teaching. So they're absolutely fresh and new, and that's how all spots are filled. Which is great too. But I still remember some teachers of my oldest child in high school. They went to Europe. They spent 1 or 2 years there speaking French and doing some exchange programs. So they speak fabulous French. And some guys here who just graduated from French immersion, I cannot understand sometimes. It just, not like they don't know grammar. No, they know, they speak, but the way how they speak, that's not really French.
Well, this is the tricky thing, is that actually our non-certified teachers that we have teaching are from Switzerland and are Francophone, and they are fabulous.
They could be better than certified here in Germany.
I think that they could be, and I value them so much, and I advocate for them too. And then at the same time, I'm also aware that our program could be in jeopardy if we have too many non-certifieds. And so I need some of those new grads to come in, spend a career working in the Cariboo Chilcotin. And I won't lie, when I went to the recruitment fair at Edmonton, I was very vocal about affordability in BC and saying that teachers don't make enough money to live in Vancouver.
Yes,
I agree.
I agree.
I grew up in White Rock, so I feel like I could say that. But
yes,
this was this is what I tried to, get through, because we also know where teachers start their careers tends to be where they finish. They don't do a lot of moving around, right? So we really want to get them when they leave university, and that's always been like where I'm trying to put my energy. We've had a few that have retired actually from other districts and then come back and still teach for 3 years here, but that doesn't really help us. Yeah, doctors don't even make enough money to live in Vancouver, no. So, yeah, Nancy?
Yeah, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
About doctors, I just read an article recently that some doctors need to work at night to meet their ends because they make only 180,000 per year.
Right.
Lots of reviews after that, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that many years ago, when I was in Rowan's job at CPF BC Yukon, I was invited to speak to French immersion teachers who were in training. They were at university. They were studying to become FI teachers. And I was invited to talk to them. And it was something that was actually recorded in a podcast at the time, and then shared with those people who couldn't make it to that. But there were about, 12 teachers in training, shall we say, that were studying at that time. Interestingly, one of the biggest questions and concerns for them was the advocacy of parents. Like they felt that it was so, I don't want to use the word strident, but they were intimidated. They felt very intimidated. But I think that there is an opportunity perhaps for maybe the branch, or if you happen to have connections in the departments of education at the universities where they're teaching French immersion teachers, to set up offer to come in and speak and kind of allay their concerns and just talk to them a bit about the experience from the parent side of things. It's not something that's normally thought of. It was very effective. They were very appreciative to get that insight.
So Nancy, so I'm understanding you, the students are intimidated by the intensity of French immersion teachers or parents, sorry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Well, no, I think, and I, that's not a new concept for me. I this is something we talk quite openly about within our school. And people think I'm funny because I'll hear people tiptoe around it, like the principal will tiptoe around that in a conversation that we're having with the PAC or anything that's going on. And I have no problem just bringing it right out. I think we are. I think that there is a group of us, and I don't know what it's like in every town, but it sounds like it's a pretty common thing, Nancy. I think that we are, and I'm okay to call it out. And I think at the same time, we have to be sort of willing as parents to get that feedback that we are that too. Like it has to go, parents need to say why, and then people need to tell us how it makes them feel. Because I know our French immersion teachers in our community, I mean, it kind of goes in ebbs and flows, right? I feel like I have a really good relationship with the teachers in our school. I hope I do. I try really hard, but it hasn't always been that way with our CPF table. It's gone up and down over the years, right? And it depends on what challenges we're facing too at the time. Yeah, we've had lots of, yeah.
Yeah, I think that John touched on it too, is if there is an issue, or even if there isn't an issue, but always having a very respectful, thoughtful dialogue with anybody that you happen to be dealing with, so that they don't feel they have to be on the defensive. And I think that it also highlights perhaps how they're taught in their university courses, because I don't think that that's really something that is maybe how do you train somebody to deal with that, right? It's some people have a personality where they can absolutely engage with the parents and everything's all good, but some people are a little more tentative and they might feel quite intimidated by it. And it's not an easy thing to train a teacher to have that relationship that without feeling threatened or overwhelmed. But I think it's a really good thing for CPF members who are by nature advocates for their kids' education to always keep that in mind, that, yeah, it can be very frustrating sometimes when things are cut or when you don't get that yes answer that you were hoping for. But I think it's not exclusive to French immersion parents. I think it's any parent who is engaged in their child's education. You see them at the PAC meetings. Those are people who are engaged, and because they're engaged, that's why their kids are doing really well at school.
Yeah, and you know, we've had some pretty tense parent meetings around teacher recruitment and non-certified teachers teaching over the last few years. And I've had criticism from parents to me that they feel that in those meetings, I seem like I side with the school or with the district. But I've had to tell them, it's not that I side with them, it's that it's important for me I'm your bridge with those people. So while you are angry in the meeting and you're reading your letter and you're almost crying, it's important that I'm not doing that, because I need to be that bridge now between the parent group and them. And then at the same time, when no one's standing up for an issue, sometimes I am that parent who has to come with I'm very concerned approach. And with our little stuff with this video, and they wouldn't let me put out the one that I had professionally produced, I let them know I was doing my own video, and I told them I won't be putting any logos in it, no school logos. And they told me, you can't have any footage of the school. You can't even show a picture of the school. And I said, can there be kids in the video? And they said, no kids at school. They couldn't be at school at the time. So I said, okay, I could do something with that, right? And I actually think, I know that our principal and our teachers really appreciated that we went ahead and did it anyway. I don't know about the district, but I think sometimes working creatively around the red tape of things, not accepting no, but finding a way that you like, okay, this isn't my place, but maybe this place is. And I think for CPF, we are advocating for French in our communities. That's our job. So some of that is saying, hey, this is a good place to move to, right? So as well as I did put in an agreement with our district, and I hope it still stands while we have a different person with the profile, that in the future, that we are always, or that potential teachers who come to do site visits are offered a personal tour through CPF South Cariboo. Not that we get to do it, because if they don't want to, it's fine. But we just wanted a commitment that they would put the offer out, because we want to do it, because we have our own way of presenting our community that we think is really valuable. And also our district office is in Williams Lake, which is an hour away and has its own CPF chapter. So I need to advocate for the South End, that we are seen when these people come here from Alberta or New Brunswick. So yeah, it's tricky stuff. I just see somebody said, can I talk a bit about the tutoring program? This just started, so I'll just say quickly. When CPF BC put out the tutoring program, my kids were homeschooled for a lot of the fall, so that was great. They were able to participate in that. I was one of the lucky parents who got to do that. It was fabulous. But in the fall, when we were applying, I anticipated that there would be a period of time in the winter, possibly, where many kids would be at home, and our district is not supporting kids to learn at home by policy. That doesn't mean that doesn't happen. Some teachers are doing that, but by policy, they are not. So for French or English. So I had this idea, because I've always wanted to engage the high school students anyway. I thought, what if we did a localized version of that? So we used tutors from our upper level secondary students in French, and have them do Zoom with our elementary kids. So I'm just getting into it. We're in the week 2 of the training, and I'm modeling it after CPF BC. I'm using Sign Up Genius. I'm using Zoom. I'm recording sessions. I currently have 3 high school tutors, and I have 1 French or Francophone EA who I've hired, who's an adult, to work with the secondary students. So that's a person with higher level French, right? So that the high school students get supported as well. And we're doing small groups and we're doing one-to-ones. I'm paying them. This is a difference with the CPF BC. And I really think that's important because I'm also seeing this as a program for my secondary students, that they are having a meaningful job, that they are using French. And none of these kids have jobs in the town. So this is their only way of earning a little money. So I'm paying them $20 per 30-minute session because I want to pay them well. And I assume that they have prep time and they have that. Yeah, for money for paying the tutors. Part of it is sociocultural grant, and then part of it is fundraised money. I was going to charge families the 50% to match the sociocultural grant. I thought about it a lot, and I've decided not to unless they miss a session, just to kind of encourage people to not be flaky because it's free. I'm not. I was going to sponsor kids who couldn't afford it and have people pay that could. I've decided it's too much administrative work for me as a volunteer. So instead, I'm going to encourage families who can to donate to the program in a general way. So if they want to donate any amount of money to the program to go back into the fund, they can do that, but I don't want to be nickel and diming families and submitting bills and collecting money from people. It's just way too complicated. So we decided as a group that we had a good fundraising year, surprisingly, so that we would pay. And the tutor, I can tell you, the tutors I'm training, the 3 girls, today, I'll post a picture later. That's why I had to leave to do the small group for grade 1s and 2s. They got the bonhomme costume from the school, and they surprised the kids with having bonhomme join the call. And then they had the kids ask bonhomme a question, and it was so cute. And they had the carnival music going. So these girls are learning skills as well. Oh, somebody asked, how much do I pay the EA? $40 for 45-minute sessions, which is a pretty going rate for a professional tutor. So that's where that dollar value comes from. But yeah, so it's I'm hoping that these high school students that I've hired are going to learn skills on how to teach, because I want them to be teachers for any of us, particularly for me, but for any of us really, and also learning skills, setting up lessons and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, that's just new. One thing I'll say too is that just working with these 3 tutors I've hired from the high school that are 2 in grade 12, 1 in grade 10 or grade 11, is that they were super nervous about having me sit in on their sessions, because that's what I'm doing for the first 2 weeks to help train them. And I have told them, and the recording of the sessions too, but I've told them that I have no expectations. I'm here to help. So if they are struggling with knowing what to do, or there's dead space with the kids, or the kids are misbehaving, need somebody to come in and tell them that they need to do something right on the screen, or put their mic on mute, that I'm there for that purpose, and that I won't always be there. And it's really good. They've told me that they're nervous, right? Because they don't use, you know what, these high school kids don't use French in this kind of way. Where they're using it with younger kids, teaching them and doing it on the fly like that, and creating lesson plans for 6-year-olds and things like that. That this is all new for them. And I'm hoping that if they get 5 months experience doing this, maybe some of them are way more likely to choose teaching as an option when they go to university next September. I just want to share before I forget, sorry, I'm taking up lots of time today, but one thing that we just decided with our tutoring program that we'll do that's sort of unique is I've hired one of the tutors who's the most confident. She's in grade 12, to lead a monthly cooking class with kids from grade 4 to 7. And it's parent participation required in the sense that a parent needs to be in the room, right, for safety. But I have asked her to do something like pizza dough and pizza, whatever, something pretty simple. And then let me know the ingredients, in advance. So parents are responsible for having those on hand. And then she leads it in her kitchen. and then the kids are in their kitchens, and then she's just doing it in French, and she's encouraging the kids to ask questions in French, and she's asking the children questions in French. So I just wanted to bring that up because my idea with that is that it's a great way of having that kind of informal conversation, which is really what the kids need practice in. Her in grade 12, but also the younger intermediate elementary kids. And it's fun, right? And it's, the thing is that this is something, there's so many things that have been canceled because of COVID, so many things. This is something that would never have happened without COVID. It's an opportunity because of the way that we are living right now to do things like that. So.
Yeah. There's something else I was going to say. Oh, I know that in terms of tutoring materials, there was what was presented at the national conference. I forget what the actual name of it was, but they had these teaching students who developed materials for like book clubs, which we do actually use for the tutoring program. And those are available on a Google Drive. So I will try and find the link for that again and send it out for some of you who might be considering your own tutoring programs. And then I will also try and get some info on if they had any resources that they prepared for the chapters in Ontario who are doing that as well. So, yeah.
Just before I forget as well, on the topic of engaging those high school students in your activities, like Kimberly was talking about, and getting recent grads on their reading break to get paid an honorarium to volunteer. Oftentimes with events, especially if you're organizing it, the last thing you think about is taking pictures of those events. And this is obviously looking down the line when we can do this again, because you're so busy with everything else. An opportunity would be to offer an honorarium to a high school student who can both participate in that event in French and be the designated photographer for the day, for example. So that I know in my experience as a reporter, I had a few go-to students at the high school who, if I couldn't make it to something through work I did in the high school, I could send them an email and ask them, and they were really eager to practice their own photography skills. And a lot of schools have photography or visual arts classes. If you can connect with a couple of those students, they'll be likely very eager to come join your events as well and document them in a very beautiful way.